But I asked you 3 times what mercy was. 3 times you said affection towards something. And that means that it requires an object. And if it requires an object, then Allah's mercy requires an object.
Can you not be merciful to yourself?
That requires an object.
Okay, can you be merciful to yourself?
Yes, the object is me. So now let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Does Allah require mercy?
He's an absolute... Is God existence? Is he an existent person?
Yes, God exists.
He exists, yeah?
Yes.
So can he not showing mercy to himself is not existence?
Why does Allah require mercy?
Okay.
Any questions on Christianity before I go on? You wanted to ask a question and I was in the middle of a conversation, so now's your chance, bro.
So basically you mentioned to another girl that about love, the concept of love.
Yes.
And basically you said that God is a loving person.
I said that God is love.
God is love, yeah?
Yes.
But would you not say that love has 3 different understandings to it, which can be a feeling, an affection, a desire?
Okay, shall I answer that?
Yeah, go on.
The Christian answer to that is no. Christians define love in a very specific way. It is an action for the benefit of the other.
It's an action?
For the benefit of the other. That is the Christian definition of love. It must be an action, it must be to the benefit freely of another person, and it must be free from expectation.
So that would be compassionate love?
It is love, yeah.
Compassionate love?
No. You see, as Christians, we define our own terms. We don't lend on, borrow from, lean on, or compromise with the terms of others. We have our own definition of love, and I've just given it to you very succinctly. So it's not for revision, it's not for compromise or suggestion or moulding. It is exactly what I said it is. It is a benefit for another person. We don't say it's an emotion. We don't say it's a desire or a sentiment. We literally, in our churches, we say love is not an emotion. That's literally preached from pulpits in Christian churches.
Well, okay, looking at yourself on a logical level, like you have a heart,
yeah, go on.
You experience, you have emotions, you have love. Can you not relate that on a logical level to not make sense that it cannot be an emotion?
Right. It's the reason why it's because the thing is people often confuse things that have other names and call it love. So when they feel attachment, some people call that love. When they have a deep need for something, they call it love. When they like something, they call it love. How many times have you heard someone say, I love this cheeseburger?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a need for something.
Yeah, like I love food. No, you need food.
Okay.
Like but love in the Christian worldview is a self-giving. It is the giving of yourself to another. And it is done with the other as the recipient in a way that is to their benefit. You could do that in time, you could do that in money, you could do that in word or in deed. And sometimes Christians and even non-Christians and sometimes even Christians, they misdescribe the form of the love for the love itself.
I'll give you a point. Example, in Islam, the first verse that Allah talks about is all praise to Allah. Then it says the most compassionate, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
Yeah, which is not love.
Yeah, exactly. So mercy and love cannot be the same.
Agreed.
But compassionate and mercy can be similar.
Yeah, one synergizes into the other. I can see that. Yeah.
You're showing a bit of empathy for the person. You're showing feelings to the person.
Yeah.
So that's what we believe, that God cannot say He loves us because fully in the concept of He don't need us. And Allah mentioned in the Qur'an that I do not need your deeds. I do not need anything from you. I've given you your existence. I've given you life, and that's for my mercy.
Yeah.
And if you deny my mercy, then you have a punishment for it.
Okay.
Which is subjective.
What's your name, bro?
Abdullah.
Abdullah, nice to meet you. Bob.
Nice to meet you.
Right? Not my real name, as you probably know. So Abdullah, what I would say in reply to that is this, bro. I agree, compassion and mercy are 2 different things. One synergizes into the other, I totally agree. But one of the rivers of difference between Christianity and Islam is that for Christians, the participation in the energies of God is not a problem for us, right? And we accept that love requires another, but the love of God is within Himself, between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So God does not require someone outside of God for His love. His love is completely self-sufficient. Yeah, it's not requiring our existence. God can love Himself. But we've got no problem with the idea that God logically requires our existence for things. And actually, the doctrine of Ghaniya, you know, the attribute that Allah is self-sufficient, yeah, is actually a problematic doctrine within Islam because it gives rise to inherent internal contradiction. Let me give it, yeah, so, right, I want to make sure, so the doctrine of Ghaniya, according to Islam, is that God is totally self-sufficient and not dependent on any of his creation for anything at all. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Have I misrepresented Islam in any way by that statement? Right, okay. Allah's mercy, right, give me an example of what Allah's mercy is.
So if you actually study science and understand it, which in Islam we do not deny science,
Yep.
because we'll be denying aeroplanes and everything that we see nowadays.
Yep.
It shows that every living thing comes down to two components.
Yep.
And the two components is light
Yep.
and energy.
Yep.
And Allah talks about, and if you actually now weigh the two things,
Yep.
you understand that light overweighs the energy in this world. And Allah talks about in the Quran, it says, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the light of the earth and the heavens.
Yep.
And He gives a beautiful example to it, which I'm not going to really get too much into detail with it. So it shows that Allah, His mercy always overweighs His wrath and anger. And
Towards who?
towards His servants and His
Right.
creation.
So, now the problem with that, and this is where we get to the inherent internal contradiction, is that for Allah to express His mercy, someone has to exist. Something has to exist. Which means that Allah cannot express His mercy apart from the existence of another. So in other words, Allah is dependent on another's existence to express His mercy. And thus He is not Al-Ghaniya, and thus Al-Ghaniya is self-contradictory.
Okay, so that's a good. You said a point which was I've not looked into it. It's the first time actually hearing.
That's fair enough.
And you said that God expresses mercy.
Yep.
But the thing is, a self-sufficient person does not have a desire of giving mercy.
Agreed.
But the mercy comes as a thing as given.
Yes,
or something.
totally agree with you. But the point is, right, and I'm going to actually give you the door by which you win this argument. I'm going to tell you how to win the argument. To win the argument, you have to give me an example of Allah's mercy that does not require another object. If you can do that, my criticism is dead. You win.
Okay.
But if you can't, but listen carefully. But if you can't do that, and you keep trying but failing, then what results is the fact that there is an inherent internal contradiction into the Islamic belief about Allah that disproves Islam as a true religion. Let me be clear exactly what my criticism is so that we don't create a straw man. I am not saying that Allah needs to give mercy to someone else. I am not saying that. I am not saying that Allah does not have the capacity to give mercy. What I am saying is that to give mercy, to express His mercy, He needs another object. And that need contradicts the idea of Al-Ghaniya, the idea that Allah is completely, totally and absolutely self-sufficient in every possible way.
Okay. To the point that He needs another object. Now, if you look at everything that's created, generally speaking of the external world,
Yep.
which is the trees or everything you see,
Yep.
and even just the air we breathe in,
Yep.
like I said to you, it comes down to two components.
Yes, light and energy. I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to argue with the physics. It's a side point. Go on.
So the thing is, He does not need an object because the object is Him. He's the source of the object. So for Him to need something cannot happen because He's the source of the two.
Right. So hold on one second. Give me an example of Give me an example of Allah's mercy.
Giving existence to people.
Right. But that requires another object then. So His mercy requires another object because there's this other object that He's given His mercy to in allowing them to exist. So that requires another object.
So excelling the mercy is different from mercy in a sense because the mercy comes from the two components which is originally from Him.
Yep. But my question is,
He does not need. The concept of needing is different from
but
excelling.
your example of mercy required Allah and another object. Who receives the mercy in creation when Allah creates?
Who receives the mercy?
Who receives the mercy?
The people that are created.
There you go. So you've got a transaction. You've got a transaction between Allah, person A, and the creation, person B. Allah has given His mercy to the creation by creating.
Okay.
So that means that my argument now still stands.
Okay, no, answer that now. If Allah needs a mercy to give to the people,
Yeah.
and He actually needed it, He will not give us the ability of free will, and He will make us people like the angels that take the commands and don't disobey.
Yeah.
So the concept of Him needing to give mercy denies the concept of humans having free will and not seeing God right now.
But that wasn't my argument. You've strawmanned my argument. What? Because I actually said in the premise of my argument, I actually said that I'm not arguing that Allah needs to give His mercy. I didn't say that. So now you're strawmanning my argument. What I actually said was, for Allah to express His mercy, He requires another, and that means that He is not Al-Ghaniya.
But the thing is, for Him to express it is a concept of different interpretations. Does He need to express that mercy?
No.
Or He doesn't?
In terms of expressing it, is there an object required?
I'll give you an example now. You yourself,
Yeah.
if you're a self-sufficient person and you're so confident with yourself,
Yeah.
people nowadays have this misconception that expressing is a confident person. When in actual truth, a person that is quiet and understands life
Could be very confident.
is the person that is more self-sufficient and more confident.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But that's not my argument.
Because the thing is...
But that's not my argument.
Okay.
No, hold up. No, because you're arguing against something I haven't said. No, wait.
It comes to recognition.
No, it doesn't. No.
Expressing is recognition.
No.
And recognition is a proof of existence.
No, expression is not recognition.
It is.
No, it isn't. Because no, it isn't. The reason why it isn't. And the reason why it's not is because there are lots of people in this world that are created that do not recognize their creator.
There's people that are created that do not recognize their creator.
Correct.
And that proves my point that the reason that they don't see their creator is because He does not need to show the mercy to the people.
Agreed. When he chooses to show His
and
mercy,
you take him to hellfire for that.
but that's
opposite of mercy.
But bro, you're still arguing against something I haven't said.
Okay.
You're still arguing against something I did not say. Listen to what I actually said.
Which I've answered.
No, you haven't. You argued against. No, you argued against something I didn't say.
No, you're twisting it about you.
So
I've answered every single.
No, you haven't. You really haven't. Right,
Okay.
let's keep it calm. Right, to prove to you that you haven't understood my argument, repeat back to me what my argument is.
That in order for God to express His mercy, He needs an object.
Yes.
Or thing.
Yes. So now you can repeat what I've said.
Okay, let's break down by word.
Yes.
Yeah?
So what is mercy?
So if God needs...
No, let's do it word by word. What is mercy?
Mercy is shown a way of affection.
There you go. Do you need a partner to show affection?
No.
Are you sure?
Affection can be to the living world.
There you go, the living world, but that's another. That's another.
So it could be anything existence.
Yeah, so you've proven my point.
God shows mercy not just to humans.
So you've proven my point.
He shows mercy to all existence.
Thank you, you've proven my point.
That is a lie.
Thank you, you've proven my point. Thank you, you've proven my point.
So no, one second.
Do you wait.
You said that. Let's break down the question.
Yes. So no.
From question.
Wait.
Let me just break down the question from point to point. How you said it.
No.
Word for word.
Let's do this.
So let me answer that question word for word.
Let's do it word for word.
Does God need to express His mercy to another object?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, go on.
You see, you rephrased my argument.
Okay. You say it word for
You
word.
rephrased my argument.
Okay, go on then.
I'll say it again. And you've actually already proven it in your examples. So here's my argument, right? For Allah to express His mercy, another must exist. No, let me finish. No, let me finish. For Allah to express His mercy, another must exist. And when I said to you, what is mercy? You said, your words were affection to another. So by your own definition, you prove what I'm saying.
It's not, because the thing is, you said express. So let's go down to word for word.
Yes.
Allah needs to express.
I didn't say he needs to express.
Okay.
I did not say he needs to express.
Okay.
You are inserting a word I did not say.
You know why I'm confusing? Because you keep going too much into the information.
Right, I'll say it word by word.
Okay, go on.
Right. Allah. Okay. Explain that word.
God, the Almighty, the Absolute.
Right. Needs. Explain that word.
Need is something that you need someone else. It's a sufficiency of someone else.
Yeah. To. Explain that word.
To is like to something external to the person.
Express.
Express means showing a way, showing.
That's the key word. Showing.
That's
wait.
what we get to.
His.
That's
Who?
what we get to.
Explain that word.
He is so sufficient in his ability and his power that he does not need any living people. His own power is sufficient to him.
So how does he express his mercy without another?
So before even showing any creation, he's so powerful and so mightiful. His own power of light and energy is so sufficient to him.
So who? So sorry.
That's the self-sufficiency concept.
No. But that's not the argument.
I've answered the concept of
no, you
expressing.
haven't. So now let me reply. I've heard your reply. Now I've heard your reply. Let me reply to what you've said, because your argument is this: Allah does not need to give you mercy. He's not under a requirement to give you mercy. But that was not my argument. My argument was that for him to express his mercy, to show his mercy, someone else has to be there, and
an object. And
so
the object
yes,
goes back to him.
Yes.
And the expression bit.
So the object. So what? Your argument is now that because the object goes back to him,
let's show you. To excel his mercy.
No, that's
to show his excelling of his mercy is by his creation.
So hold on one second.
But to express it in the beginning,
Yep.
it's not needed because he's so sufficient.
Here's a simple challenge. What's your name again? Abdullah. Forgive me for not remembering your name. Here's a very simple argument. Give me an example of Allah's mercy that doesn't involve a recipient.
Give me
an example of Allah's mercy that does not involve a recipient.
That does not involve a recipient.
Yeah.
It's a loaded question.
It's a very logical question.
It's loaded.
Would you like to join the conversation, sir?
No.
Yeah, of course it's a loaded question. What's wrong with loaded questions?
None of us know the answer. Give us the answer.
Wait, well, I want to give Abdullah a chance.
Give us the answer.
No, hold on, sir.
Give us the answer.
No, we've been talking for quite a while.
Give us the answer.
Sir.
Where's his mercy?
Sir, with respect, but me and Abdullah have been talking. I can, but me and him are having a conversation and you're just jumping in there. Go on, Abdullah.
So obviously,
that's my question.
That the first explanation of what I've explained is that God, to express his mercy, is different from you saying a need. Yeah, expressing, he does not need to express anything.
No, we didn't agree that. I said consistently all the way through this conversation that wasn't my argument.
Well, I've answered that point.
No,
now you changed the question.
No, my question remains the same. Give me an
question,
example of Allah's mercy that does not involve a recipient.
His way of showing his mercy is himself.
Give me an example.
How many people you see in this world now that kill themselves?
Okay.
His existence is his mercy.
So wait.
That is
hold on one second. No, hold on one second. I'm going to take your answer seriously.
Look, how many people kill themselves?
What's that got to do with my question?
Being self-sufficient, that does not need any people. A lot of people kill themselves.
Guys, my question was. My question was.
I'm absolute and I'm still existent. Shows his mercy to his own self.
Does Allah need mercy? Does Allah need mercy?
Sorry?
Does Allah need mercy?
He does not need mercy.
So you're saying he's showing mercy to himself?
It's a form of showing mercy. Can there be mercy without God having?
Yes. So give me an example, which is the actual question I asked you.
Exactly, and that is.
What's the example?
His existence.
So his existence
is the mercy.
To whom?
It's a showing.
What's mercy?
Mercy is something showing affection, feeling towards something.
There you go. Showing affection towards something. So when we talk about what mercy is, it involves an object.
So, okay,
that was your definition.
No.
That was your definition. You said that mercy is showing affection towards something. So that means there's an object.
Okay, I answer that. Now answer it now. Now, God is love to the extent of himself. You know, he loves himself. So mercy only relates to his existence, yeah? And he is a source of himself as a love.
Right.
That answers it now.
No, it doesn't, because that wasn't the question.
Explain it now, love.
So the question was...
love.
So the question was...
with existence to other
okay,
people.
Abdullah, I'm gonna allow you to move the conversation on, but just before I do that, to sort of wrap up our last point, I don't think you have successfully countered.
The people can hear it.
You haven't countered. Abdullah, can we have a conversation
Okay,
where you don't interrupt? I'm going to allow you to move the conversation on, but as a roundup to the last conversation,
We'll conclude it.
I don't believe that you have dealt with my criticism because you have not demonstrated how mercy doesn't require an object for its expression. And because in our conversation it remains that mercy requires an object for its expression. Allah is not Al-Ghaniya. Now, what would you like to talk about? Because we've done that. Oh, you want to stay on the same topic?
Yeah, we'll stay on the same topic.
Okay, we'll stay on the same topic.
We've talked about expression.
Yes.
Yeah? And
That's what I've talked about the whole time.
Okay, and what conclusion we came to that?
We came to the conclusion that mercy requires another.
No, we've come to the conclusion that before mercy is expression, yeah?
What?
Expression is a way of showing something.
What is mercy?
Mercy is something showing affection towards someone.
There you go, towards someone. So you've admitted it again. You've done it 3 times now. 3 times. Abdullah, listen. Abdullah, listen.
Okay, it's different.
Abdullah, listen.
Okay.
You've done it 3 times now. I've asked you.
Yeah. I've
Yes.
answered all the
Look,
questions.
brother,
I've answered
don't
all
be
the
a
3
coward.
questions.
Don't shout from the sidelines.
Huh?
Don't shout from the sidelines. Join the conversation.
Because the
Don't
thing is,
shout
yeah,
from the
before you
sidelines
was
like a
talking about,
coward.
yeah,
Join
God
the
as a love,
conversation.
yeah? Do you get what I'm saying? And it changed it around.
What you
You're
said.
doing deceptive techniques.
No,
That's
Abdullah,
exactly what
I
you're doing.
literally worked on what you said.
You haven't worked on it.
Well, people will make their own mind up, but I asked you 3 times what mercy was. 3 times you said affection towards something, and that means that it requires an object. And if it requires an object, then Allah's mercy requires an object.
Can you not be merciful to yourself?
That requires an object.
Okay, can you be merciful to yourself?
Yes, the object is me. So now let me ask you this question.
okay.
Does Allah require mercy?
He's an absolute. Is God existence? Is he an existent person?
Yes, God exists.
He exists, yeah?
Yes.
So can he not showing mercy to himself is not existence?
Why does Allah require mercy?
Okay, in the UK.
Answer the
how many people
question.
kill
No,
themselves
Abdullah,
daily?
answer my question. Abdullah, answer my question. You are trying to make the argument that you're trying to make the counter argument to my position by saying that Allah shows mercy to himself. Tell me, why does Allah need mercy?
Why does Allah need mercy?
Yes.
Allah does not need anything
Okay.
because He's the giver of mercy.
So
He's
what
the
is
giver of everything.
what is mercy?
Everything goes to source from Him.
What
I
is mercy?
explained that everything that lives in this external world comes from 2 sources.
But what's mercy?
Light and energy.
What's mercy,
And then
though?
2 things go back to God, and science cannot prove where them 2 sources come from.
That's irrelevant to the question.
We've agreed on that bit, yeah? And you
No, we
cannot
haven't.
deny that.
We haven't
Science
agreed
has
on that.
proved
We haven't agreed on
every
that.
single person that's watching this video
Your physics
can see
is
it.
wrong.
Okay, we can move on from that.
Okay.
Then you said, showing mercy.
Shall we do
Showing
this
shows
time?
Of mercy by showing respect to yourself, going to a bathroom, cleaning yourself, putting makeup on, combing your hair. It's all ways of showing mercy
Right,
to yourself.
so let me just
the Prophet
demonstrate.
ﷺ said, yeah,
So-
every single part of your body has a right over you.
Right?
Yeah?
Has
So
a
it
right
shows
over you.
Over you.
Is that true of Allah?
So that shows mercy to himself.
Is that true of Allah?
So Allah, His mercy
Is
is
to
that
himself.
His existence, that He's not killed Himself because He cannot, because He's an absolute.
Right.
He never dies and He always lives.
So
that shows
so your
His mercy.
your
But
argument,
His excelling of the mercy.
aviation. If you're someone who does something wrong, Allah gives his mercy. Right? For Allah to express his mercy, an object must exist. That object receives his mercy, which means that Allah is not totally, absolutely, and completely independent of everything in his creation. He requires his creation to give his mercy to his creation. Now, the way that Abdullah can win this argument is just to say, to just give an example where mercy, define what mercy is, and then give an example where there isn't a recipient. Now, he tried to do it by saying that Allah is mercy to himself. Well, firstly, that's blasphemous. Allah doesn't require his own mercy. Sinners require God's mercy. Created things require God's mercy. To say that Allah receives his mercy like the creation receives his mercy is shirk, because you're saying that Allah has been demoted to the level of a creation. But also, note his example. He said that washing your face is a mercy to yourself. So which attribute, which part of Allah is Allah giving his mercy to? Which part of Allah requires his mercy? Because if Allah is self-sufficient totally, completely and absolutely in every way, there's no deficiency in any of his attributes, so none of his attributes require an act of mercy, because mercy is about filling up the deficiencies.
Okay, I'll
Your
answer the
turn.
question, yeah? Every single person here knows every year in the UK how many people die by killing themselves. So if you standing here today have not killed yourself, have you not showed yourself mercy for your existence? So God's existence is a mercy in itself, because he's an absolute that never dies and always lives, and he is self-sufficient that he don't need anything else around him to make him feel like his existence. And everything in this world, people understand, it goes down to two sources, light and energy. And them two sources go back to something that science cannot explain. So when you see a tree or when you see a human, they are all sources of light and sound. Allah says in the Qur'an, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the nur of the heavens and the earth. كَمَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاتٍ فِيهَا مِصْبَاحٌ. It's like a lamp that is put a light to it. So like I said to this person, Bob, right?
Bob.
Yeah, I've explained to himself that God, to show expression, is something that he needs. He does not need to show expression of anything. And people have a concept of a confident person is someone that expresses himself. That is not true, and that is a lie and a deception that the media use to people. That's a fully false statement. Confidence is a self-sufficient person which humans or any living thing cannot have, because they are source of something which is light and energy. But God does not need that, because he is the source of everything himself.
Can I reply? So, there's multiple problems in what Abdullah said. Firstly, the first problem is that by his logic he has to be a pantheist, because he's saying that Allah is the light and that all these things are like the light of Allah, and he's fudging into a kind of pantheism which is rejected by Islamic doctrine. And it's actually totally irrelevant to the question we're talking about. For Allah to have mercy, mercy is an expunging of sin, a filling of deficiency. It's giving life where no life exists. Even his own example is a flawed one. He said, if you don't kill yourself, are you being merciful to yourself? Well, what happens if you think about that question with these words? God cannot die. So how can God commit suicide? And so how can him not committing suicide, who cannot die, be a mercy to himself? His own example makes no sense. Christians believe that Jesus Christ is God. We believe Jesus Christ died on a cross. But even we say that the divinity didn't die. We say Christ died in his humanity. Muslims who know their faith know that divinity cannot die. And so the argument that Allah is showing mercy to himself because he doesn't kill himself is a fallacious argument, because God can't die. It's like saying, can God create a rock that he can't pick up? It doesn't make sense. It's not an argument. Now, the reality is that mercy, that the challenge to Abdullah is to give me the definition of mercy. So that's the first challenge. And the second challenge is to give me an example of Allah's mercy that does not require a recipient. Even in his own argument, which is fallacious and logically flawed, there is still a recipient. One of Allah's attributes is showing mercy to another one of Allah's attributes. And that is a fallacious argument from the beginning. Go on, your turn.
Okay. Firstly, here the point. God, the way he gives mercy to his people is free will. Allah says in the Quran, he does not need your deeds or anything. If Allah wanted to show his mercy, everyone's not gratitude. Allah says in the Quran, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, all praise be to the Most High. But how many of us are actually all praiseworthy to the Most High and give us sufficiency? Why does he not destroy us right now today? Because how many people in the world are not actually acceptance and showing recognition to this Most High person? Secondly, Allah says that he gives, what was the ayah again? Wallahu laysa bidhallami lil abid. So it said that Allah, he does whatever he wants, but he is not unjust to his servants. So that means that he can make any decisions he wants. He does not need to show any mercy, because he's not impressing anyone. People show mercy to get affection and respect from people, but Allah does not need that, because he does whatever he wants, But he said, I am not unjust to my servants. Because that's an option from him, and that is a characteristic from Allah, which is the most high person, has the most highest attributes and the highest characteristics that no humans can kind of comprehend.
Can I reply? Okay. Did any of you hear a definition of mercy?
No.
Did any of you hear an example of mercy that did not require a recipient? So I leave it on Abdullah's door again at his next reply to actually answer the question I asked. And I want you to be very keen to listen if he actually answers my question. First question, give the definition of mercy. Second question, give an example of Allah's mercy that does not require a recipient. That's the questions that he needs to answer when he next replies.
So,
now he quoted a passage in the Qur'an.
Just repeat the two questions.
I'll repeat them at the end. He quoted a passage of the Qur'an to you and he said, Allah is light. Now, can I just help me go to that passage? Where is it? I think it's in Surah 17, isn't it?
Surah An-Nur, yeah.
Which it, Tanur, where is that? Helping me find it, please. Or is it 24? It's 24, there we go. Right, so I'm going to read the passage to you and then I'm going to open up another argument. So first argument is Allah's self-description is self-contradictory. Second argument, Allah's descriptions are themselves meaningless. The passage the brother quoted is this. It said, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, and the parable of his light is this, as it were a niche, and within it a lamp, and the lamp enclosed in glass, and the glass as it were a brilliant star. I'm not going to read the full passage, I'm just going to stop there, right? In the Quran, it says Allah is not like anything that He has created. Everybody, did Allah create the stars?
Yeah.
So therefore,
Yeah.
when Allah describes His light as being like the star, that comparison is meaningless. Because anything you can think or imagine a star to be, Allah's light is not that. So in other words, that description doesn't carry any meaning.
Meaningless.
And what do we call meaningless sounds?
What?
We call them sounds. Now what we've got is a word in the Quran that sounds like a word in Arabic, but because it conveys no actual meaning, is just a sound. You might as well have replaced it with the word blah. So let's read it like that. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, and the parable of his light is as if it were a niche, and within it a lamp, and the lamp enclosed in glass, and the glass as it were a brilliant blah. Because anything you think of or imagine a star to be, Allah's light isn't that. So why is Allah comparing himself to something he isn't?
Makes sense.
Okay, like I've said before, and this guy still keeps going in circles,
Sorry, brother.
is that...
His question, the mercy.
Okay.
Can you answer?
Oh yeah, so the questions
So
are
every single
definition.
person standing here showed themselves a level of mercy by not harming themselves or not trying to kill themselves. That is mercy. So secondly, to express, he said, is needing another person. But every single thing that Allah has, it comes from Him. He is the Nur al-Samawati wal-Ard. He's the source of light. He's the source of energy. So how can He need something when the source comes from Him? That simply answers both questions.
Yeah,
May I read it?
He asking to give you an
Okay,
example.
guys, this is not a gang on. Abdullah
Mercy
can
is
speak for himself.
compassion. Mercy is a form of compassion. And Allah says,
What is compassion?
Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim.
What's compassion?
Compassion is a way of showing empathy. I'll get the actual
Okay,
terms up.
I'm getting, ladies and gentlemen, while you look for your thing, let me do what Abdullah has not done. Remember, I asked him two questions. Define what mercy is, and then give me an example of Allah's mercy that doesn't require a recipient. He has not done that. He's talked about, he's given you a logical fallacy instead. He said that if you don't kill yourself, you're showing mercy to yourself. That doesn't apply to God because
Logic.
God can't die. And so it
Logic.
isn't a mercy to God that God doesn't kill himself because God can't die in the first place. So he's making a fallacious argument. Sorry, bro, I lost it. I'm going to give you the definition of mercy. Right? Can forgiveness shown towards someone. So when Allah expresses his mercy, he requires a recipient. And if he requires a recipient, he needs a recipient, then he is not self-sufficient.
Okay.
Because he cannot express his mercy without a recipient. And that means that the concept of al-Ghaniya is self-contradictory, because al-Ghaniya says that Allah needs no one for nothing in any way at all. But we see that mercy requires he does need someone for something in a particular way. And thus, the Islamic description of God is self-contradictory and therefore false.
Okay, I'll answer that.
Go on.
The definition of mercy is a mercy that's written by someone on Google. Now you've got two options. It's either you use your own definition, which is logic, or you use a definition which comes from Google, which is a man-made thing. Now think of it. Mercy comes from every single person living, showing respect to yourself, not self-harming yourself. You standing here today shows that you have showed a level of mercy to yourself. So God's
It's an other. You know, you're treating yourself as an other.
Sorry?
You're treating yourself as an other.
I don't know.
But the more fundamental problem is God can't hurt himself. God can't kill himself.
So do not believe words on Google that tell you definitions of mercy.
So
is a
what's
lie.
yours, Abdullah?
The definition of mercy
Is
showing a level of mercy firstly towards yourself
and
then others. And I'll tell you, Allah showed and told people that He's excelled His mercy by giving existence. But that does not mean that He needs the people to show existence. His existence shows His mercy. And I've used the logic, but the Google does not explain that logic. And that's a man-made thing. So I tell people, do not follow what you see on the internet. Use your own logic to make understandings.
May I reply?
And this person works with those sort of people that make these fallacies.
May I reply? So no, brother. Sorry, brother. Yeah,
You not
brother,
harming yourself
brother. You,
is a way
please
of
let's
showing
have
mercy.
this conversation.
You standing today,
see-
not having slices in your arm, is showing mercy to yourself.
Thank you,
You
guys.
looking after yourself,
No, brother,
wearing
please.
clothes is showing mercy.
Brother, can I reply?
That's a logical
Abdullah,
response.
can I
But
reply?
Google does not tell you that.
See what you done?
okay.
Abdullah, right. Let me just read.
Yeah.
He said, don't believe Google.
Okay.
So why doesn't he believe Sahih al-Muslim? Sahih al-Muslim. Sahih al-Muslim.
Authentic.
Of Imam Muslim. A hadith that is Sahih, reliable. And what does Allah say? By him in whose hand is my life, that's Muhammad. If you were not to commit sin, Allah would sweep you out of existence and He would replace you by those people who would commit sin and seek forgiveness from Allah. So in other words, the hadiths are showing you that mercy requires a recipient, and you are all the recipients. And because mercy requires a recipient, Allah is not self-sufficient in every way, in every condition. Ladies and gentlemen, we Christians don't have a problem with this. We have the same thing in our religion. We also believe that mercy requires a recipient. But we as Christians do not have a doctrine that says that God is not dependent in every possible imaginable way. We accept that for God to show His mercy, someone must exist to receive His mercy. This is non-problematic to us. The contradiction only occurs because of what Muslims say al-Ghaniya means. And they say in al-Ghaniya that Allah is absolutely, completely independent of His creation in every conceivable and imaginable way. But I have just demonstrated to you that I can imagine a way in which Allah does require my existence so He can show me mercy. And He hasn't answered this question
He says,
at
so
all.
He can show mercy. Is the existence of God not showing mercy? Because without Him, there would not be any mercy.
Showing to who?
I've said, look, hear clearly, and do not disturb me as well. Yeah, I
Go
don't
on.
disturb you.
Fair enough.
So I've explained to myself and to every single person here, on a logical level, he's quoting the definition of mercy from Google, which is not true. On a logical level, every single person here standing today that has showed respect, have looked after themselves, and have not tried to kill themselves, have showed mercy. And God's existence is mercy to Himself, because He is self-sufficient. He does not need anyone. He does not need anyone to get mercy. He does not need recognition. He is an absolute. He's the only one that stands. And he mentioned again another point, which was expressing. Allah tells you that every single source comes from Him, and science has proved that as well. Every living thing comes from light and energy. And Allah tells you, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء.
Because no one here understands about it.
Allah is I'll tell you what He's doing. He's doing the same thing. He's mentioning points that are illogical, but He's using an assertive way of communication. Do not let people deceive you. We live in an age of deception where people listen to sound, focus on the logic and the information. That is where the truth is.
Can I reply?
I end my case.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, he used a logical fallacy in his defense. He said Allah is showing mercy to Himself because Allah doesn't kill Himself. That is logical fallacy. Muslims agree with Christians, God cannot die. So therefore, there is no mercy in not killing yourself if you cannot die. That was his defense. It was a logical fallacy. Secondly, the brother doesn't even know his own religion. Christians and Muslims agree that God creates out of nothing. He creates out of ex nihilo, out of nothing. The brother was trying to argue that you exist out of Allah's light. That's pantheism, not Islam. I'm even defending Islam from his own arguments. The problem with Islam is that its description of God is inherently self-contradictory. I asked the brother for two simple things: a definition of mercy which he did not give, and an example of mercy where it doesn't require a recipient. He didn't answer those questions. And the reason why it's a problem is because if we are the recipients of Allah's mercy and we cannot understand Allah's mercy apart from a recipient. Remember when he said showing compassion to, expressing, showing, it all had a direction. And the direction is the receiver. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that if we are receivers of Allah's mercy, and Allah can't express His mercy except by a recipient, then Allah requires our existence for Him to express His mercy. And that contradicts the idea that in no way at all that you can think or imagine does Allah need you. And I've disproven that completely. But let me bring you to the second argument that he didn't have an answer to, which is the nonsensical descriptions of Allah in the Qur'an. He quoted this passage numerous times in this debate, the passage about Allah's light, because he's wanting to make a point about creation. But in the Qur'an, it says that Allah is not like anything that He has created. Count with me how many created things you hear Allah comparing Himself to. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The parable of His light is if, as it were, a niche, and within it a lamp, and the lamp enclosed in glass, and the glass as it were a brilliant star, lit from a blessed tree, and an olive, neither of the east or the west, whose oil is well luminous. I've counted 7, and I didn't even include the east and the west, but if I did, that would be 8, 9 created things. But let's take the Quran seriously, because the Quran is very clear. Allah is not like anything that He created. So, when He is not like anything He has created, you cannot think or imagine what a star is, or a glass, or a tree, or an olive, or an oil, or the east, or the west. You can't imagine these things. And you can't imagine them because Allah is not like them, which means these words are meaningless. They describe nothing to you at all. They are simply sounds. So we might as well read the passage like this, because this is what it actually means. Allah is the blow of the blow and the blow. The parable of his blow is as there were a blow, within it a blow, the blow enclosed in a blow, the blow as it were a brilliant blow, blow lit from a blessed blow, a blow, neither of the blow nor the blow. Blah, blah, blah. That is literally what the Quran said. Come here and debate. Right, well, I'll go and stand next to him and we'll debate him.
The only book
So,
who
go
allowed
on,
the
what?
killing of babies is his Bible. Read
Oh,
it.
really?
1 Samuel 15.
Really?
Go, idiot.
Abortion
go.
is legal
Bye.
in Islam.
Bye.
Abortion is legal in Islam, troll. Wait, bro, you brought the aggravation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now notice how the trolls run. Notice how the trolls run. Notice how the trolls run. They shout, brother, don't give him energy. Just step away from him. So, ladies and gentlemen, notice how he wanted to jump in and he wanted to harass. But when he was challenged, he had nothing to say. He wants to debate, so let's debate him. Okay, let's debate. What's your problem? What's your problem? What's your problem?
Can you go?
I'm talking to you.
Take your cameras and
No,
go.
you're going to be on camera. We're going to put you on camera.
I need to read 1 Samuel 15.
Yes,
I'm going to read it. You like
Read
it
it.
or
We're
not?
not ashamed of the Bible. Read it.
I'm going.
Go on. Read it to us.
Bye-bye. Don't get
No,
near
no.
me, man. Don't get near me.
You were the one that brought the aggro.
Can you go away?
You brought the aggro.
Can you film that? Can you go away?
No.
No, film me,
I
film me.
am-
Because I'm going to kick his ass. No,
Go
brother.
on. Try it.
Go away.
Try it.
Go away, you
Try
idiot.
it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You idiot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see how they get triggered. There are Muslims in this park that come here every week to attack the Christian faith. They attack the belief in the Trinity. They attack the belief in the Incarnation. They attack belief in the Bible. And they think it's okay when they do it to our religion. But when we challenge them about their religion, and its many contradictions, and its many errors, and its many flaws, and its many immoral teachings, they think that they can harass us. But when we stand up to them, they run away, as you have just seen. Exactly. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Go on, brother. Okay, let's go back and talk to this guy.